the last Union soldier, Billy Bucko. Billy, how does it feel?
Well, my pants are wet right now. I'm pretty scared. And I think all my ribs just broke.
Some of the biggest musket line battles happened in the American Civil War, where the blues faced the grays. And it wasn't just red versus blue anymore, although in the totally accurate version, we have that. This is a line battle with over 400 troops. Battles like Gettysburg were massive. Casualties were high. The stakes were pretty incredible when you consider the American Civil War was going to decide, well, the fate of the seemingly ununited states of America. But the battles all kicked off with the Battle of Fort Sumter, a Union-held fortress that was drastically outmanned and outgunned. Laying siege to it was the Confederate States of America, the CSA. A little bit later, we'll introduce you to why they were renowned for their bayonet charges due to one of their famous generals. But this is the first battle of the American Civil War, at least the totally accurate version. Which means I have a lot of creative license to make this as amazing and awesome as I'd like. Looks like the Union forces on the walls were able to take out some of these early cannons. And you have to keep in mind that a lot of the cannons that were available in Fort Sumter were not properly manned, didn't have enough ammunition. They just weren't ready for a battle. However, sharpshooters from the walls were able to take out some of the heavy artillery from the CSA. So it looks like what it might come down to is on this ramp, we've got a pretty big old bayonet charge. I just gotta say though, I would not want to be like the guy in the front who's like, I'm supposed to ram this pointy stick into that man right there who's sitting behind the biggest gun Oz has ever seen. And then you're like, wait a minute, why does the CSA have terrible British accents? They took our derbs and our cotton. Maybe that's more like appropriate, right? I don't know. I've never really thought about like a southern accent. I got myself a nice Cajun accent, but that's about it. My accents are clearly inadequate, much like the Union defense of this fortress. I think it was like in South Carolina or Georgia or something like that, which is, you know, CSA territory at the time. So the first battle goes to the CSA. The boys in blue, the Union, have capitulated, and those that are still alive have surrendered. But it begs the question, and that is, what if the CSA, who I believe created one of the first ironclads, and I think it was like the Merrimack or the CSS Virginia maybe? What if they used those ideas, those crazy kind of ideas at the time, and decided to build Da Vinci tanks? Well, it looks like they're stalling out, and I'm not entirely sure if this is going to disappear, if it's going to stay on board. Okay, the CSA tanks are closing in on the fortress. The fortress itself is being besieged on all sides. They have repelled advances from the north. These tanks are not very good. It's almost like, while it was really cool for its time, it's a terrible tank design. What we need is like, you ever see one of those old like American Western movies where like they bring out the Gatling guns? Yes, that's what we need. What if the CSA used a giant bayonet charge from this flank too? However, the defenders were aided with the technological advancement of Gatling guns. So instead of one cannon on each side, we are going to replace it with a Gatling gun. Because we already saw the Battle of Fort Sumter fall rather quickly to the CSA. So it's almost like alternative history, historical fiction. One of my favorite literary genres.
By God, I just love the way he says genres. I hope that wheel doesn't break my nose.
You hang on there, Union boy, Billy. What would the Union names be? Like Henry, Beauregard? And then we need like, what's a good old Southern name? Oh my God, this man's neck is huge. It's Earthworm Jim.
Hi, my name's Billy Bob.
And I'm Bobby Bill.
And I'm Billy Bill.
And I'm Bobby Bob.
Maybe that, I don't know. These Gatling guns are doing a pretty dang good job at holding down most of the bayonet charges. So now we only have a few beleaguered defenders up on the walls, but the bayonet chargers, well, they're charging with their bayonets. They are living up to their names, and the soldiers, the defending soldiers, are falling straight off the walls. My God, I tell you what, man, there's just nothing quite like Tabs, even to this day. Physics-based battle simulator combat. When you see a defender just do a cartwheel and spill off into the eternal abyss that is that direction, it just gives you a sense of, man, that was cool. So what else? You know what? I know exactly what you're thinking, and I'm thinking the same thing. Artillery. More artillery. So instead of musketmen down here, let's put Hawachas down here. And let's put some of these Union marksmen, more of them up on the walls. Basically, we're going to be taking American Civil War battles and we're going to give them the totally accurate treatment. Let's see if they have the firing arc this time to at least do some damage. Oh my goodness, yes. Don't you wish you could make the Hawachas explosive? Look at that. I just want to point out, this guy, yeah, he's been spittooned with like 10 of them, but that's a perfect hurt shot. Or near perfect. I just gotta say, I do not want to be the dudes having to charge up a steep slope, a heavily defended fortification, and all I got is a sharp stick. It's almost like when you plan your wars, you need to give your men enough food and fuel, you idiot. You guys know who I'm talking about. But I'm glad he's an idiot. Anyway, real world events aside, it looks like they... Jeez! Imagine sticking your head. You're like, oh, I'm gonna charge that. I'm gonna do it for king and country. And then bam! You just got whatched. And then you got Gatling gunned. And then your marching band directors with their stupid flags are slapping your Gatling gun, making your job even harder. Almost as hard as the wax that you put on that fantastic mustache, good sir. So anyway, the Battle of Fort Sumter went in the CSA's favor. However, if they had watches and Gatling guns, they probably could have held it. Like they're doing here. Now all they got is this group of Johnny Rebs. Oh, I guess that'd be a classic CSA name. Johnny, right? Because they were called Johnny Rebs was the nickname. Ooh, look at you, Mr. Marksman boy. But during the Civil War, there was a Confederate general who made a name for himself. You see this Stonewall? Well, it was named after him. No, not exactly. However, this is Stonewall Jackson. And he had this famous phrase that he liked to say when he was talking about the guys on the other team. We shall give them the bayonet, which is kind of scary if you're the guys on the receiving end of said bayonet. But his superior officers nicknamed him the Stonewall because of how good he was at holding his ground and defending until the bitter end. I gotta say, I love the way cannonballs hit in this game. Like, they kind of make contact and they hit. Here, I'll show you. Here we go. They kind of stop when they hit a guy in the center of mass. You see that? And then they just like go through. It's like they're unidentified flying objects, man. We got UFOs in the American Civil War. All right, Stonewall. Looks like you're trying to do a little tap dancing thing on top of this Stonewall here. But he's got himself a repeater pistol and a saber. Oh my. He's just taking a nap, guys. Don't worry. I wasn't expecting this bayonet charge to get through. Luckily, the defenders do have bayonets, so they're able to kind of defend themselves. But I think in this battle, I mean, the Confederates had some early victories. But some of the biggest battles are still to come. I want to see proper formations on the field. Cavalry, artillery, infantry charges. And we're going to see that. Look at this. And we even got some militia in the woods over here on the flank. Is this the last guy? The last Union soldier? Billy Bucko. Billy, how does it feel?
Well, my pants are wet right now. I'm pretty scared. And I think all my ribs just broke.
Yeah, war is heck, my friend. On this battlefield right here, we will wage the biggest line battle ever seen. Let's take a look at the attacking and defending teams. So, on the right side here, we've got the Union. Now, each army has 200 units each. The Unions decided to put some bayonets on their far left flank, and they've decided to split up their infantry into 3 columns. Left, center, and right, with most of the men holding the center. They have 6 artillery pieces, and they have decided to put a heavy bayonet charge on the right using this old church as cover. They have Ulysses S. Grant and General Sherman with a few supporting staff officers and a random general. Whereas the CSA are using a picket line, which includes a very small man right here. But don't worry, his gun is big enough to do damage. And they have totally accurate cavalry. Take a closer look at this cavalry and you'll realize why they are very very special. Their infantry are divided into 3 sections as well. Militiamen on their right. A strong central unit of regulars with bayonet chargers in the front. And then regulars on the far left with 8 artillery pieces. And their generals consist of their supporting officers. Give them the bayonet, General Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, this guy who can't even grow a beard, so you know he sucks as a general. And then the officers, you know who they are. They're just the guys. They're the guys that go out and they're gonna die. Now, since we have about 400 units on the battlefield, we are going to have to do this, at least in the early stages, in slow motion. But I'm really curious to see who is going to get the first shot. Wait a minute, what is going on over here? Somebody either ate a lot of chili last night? Why are you farting out fire? Man. Okay, it looks like the Union got the first shots over at the CSA Cavalry Charge, and men are getting dismounted from their horses. I gotta say, oh, that was friendly fire. This horse was brought down from behind. Oh, wow. Oh, this just happened to work out where the cavalry met the bayonet charge, so that should absorb a decent amount of the brunt. Now, it looks like a lot of the Confederate cavalry is getting taken out, but it does look like the Union cavalry hasn't been destroyed, but most of the Confederate cavalry has. Are you guys getting stuck? What's going on over here? Son, this isn't a game of Quidditch. You can't ride it like a broomstick, all right? That ain't gonna work on the battlefield, boy. Oh, wow. When you look at the lines, it looks like the Union appears to have more soldiers, but on the left flank, the Greys look like they have more soldiers. Now, this is really interesting. I just realized that the Confederate officers never moved at all. That is rather peculiar. We don't have a flag bearer telling them to hold position. Oh, big cannonball! I love that. Seeing Ragdoll in slow motion as this guy literally is losing skin as it's getting taken off by the ground because he is just moving across it at such great force. Oh man, this could be really bad depending on when these cannons reload. But some of these bayonet soldiers might disrupt the far left flank of the Greys, and as a result, they're going to be distracted, and I think that's going to allow them to be easier targets for where the Union seems to have their greatest strength. Lots of soldiers are getting knocked out. Oh, we got a cannonball that looks like it might do some conga line damage. 2 guys knocked out with 1 shot. We have collateral, and this man fell over, and his stick is being stuck by this guy's booty. That sounds a little bit inappropriate, but hey, remember, like I said, war is heck. All right, there's like 2 guys over here. They're immediately knocked out. The Union has won the right flank. It looks like the center is going the Union's way. And even the left flank. I'm kind of surprised. But you gotta think that in Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, usually the hero units and general units are kind of like, they're almost like deities in and of themselves. I like how you see that spinning musket in the background. And boom! This man got hit by a cannon and 2 musket balls at the same time. That is a bad day on the battlefield. All right. So I think it's clear that the Union is just wiping this up right now. But I'm very curious to see how long can their officers survive. Was that an artillery barrage? What's going on with the music? The music in game is music I've never heard about, but the Union just won the Battle of Gettysburg. But what about the Totally Accurate Battle of Gettysburg? There was a naval engagement during the American Civil War where the first 2 ironclads ever fought. What if those first 2 ironclads were tanks? Da Vinci style tanks. We're gonna put 3. And man, is that not looking freaking awesome? I just wish tabs could hold in like contain and basically be able to handle far more enemies than it is, because I feel like once you go over about 200 to 250, well, even over 150, frames just start falling out your butt like you had some bad chili, boy. So if there were land tanks, land battleships, the Monitor and the Merrimack, this is why I wish we had proper vehicles in tabs and a proper vehicle editor. So it looks like the tanks in the middle both got knocked out. The CSA tank on the Union right flank is down. So it's 2 tanks versus 1 right now. Wow. Look at this tank. It's turning into like a blender, and it's like, hey guys, You need to be flung at the enemy, although I think it's just destroying them. This bayonet charge is getting knocked on its socks as a result. Maybe it was like a motherly tank, like, you guys gotta watch out, there's musket balls coming. So it's knocking them down so they can like dodge it and take a little bit of cover. But yeah, somehow the Union still has a tank up. That should make it even more difficult for the CSA to win this one. So, while the CSA took some early victories, it is clear that the Union did prevail. This is where all the militia are. Maybe they can fire from a little bit greater distance? I'm not entirely sure. Okay, now it's Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee is gonna have a bad time. Oh, we got a little bit of friendly fire. Oh man, this guy's just dodged 3 shots, and I don't think it was intentional. That cannonball from Mother Tank just saved his life. Now the bayonet charger's like, I'm gonna go get me an officer. They're pretty good at dodging. They called in artillery strikes. Robert E. Lee is tap dancing his way across the battlefield. Uh-oh. Looks like he went to take a nap, probably at the wrong time. Is he dead? Not yet. He's really good at... There we go. I mean, if you're gonna run up against like a bunch of guys in formation, that's a lot of musket balls to dodge. So needless to say, the total accurate Civil War is over, at least for now. What wars or battles should we cover in the next Tabs episode? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. So thanks for watching another episode of Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. If you did enjoy it and you do want to see more, we'll pull the trigger on the like button and let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.